Have you ever been praying, trying to stay strong, and suddenly your voice cracked while tears rolled down your face? Not because someone hurt you that day, not because you wanted attention, but because deep inside, something spiritual was happening. Most people ignore these moments, but what if those tears are actually signs that God is touching parts of your soul nobody else can see? What if heaven is working behind the scenes while you think you're falling apart? And wait until you hear number 3, because millions of people experience it, but almost nobody understands what it truly means. This could completely change the way you see your prayers forever. Look, everybody cries for different reasons. Some people cry because life feels heavy. Some cry because they feel abandoned. And then there are those moments during prayer when tears suddenly appear out of nowhere, and even you can't explain them. Maybe that's happened to you before. You bowed your head, closed your eyes, started whispering a prayer, and suddenly your chest tightened, your voice shook, and tears began falling. In that moment, you probably wondered, why am I crying like this? Is something wrong with me? Or maybe, is God trying to tell me something? What if those tears are more than emotions? What if they're spiritual signs that something powerful is happening inside you? Today, we're diving deep into the hidden reasons people cry during prayer and why these moments could mean God is working in your life right now. And trust me, sign number 3 surprises almost everyone because it reveals something most people never expect. You know what's truly dangerous? Not a broken heart, but a hard heart. A heart that feels nothing anymore. A heart that stopped trusting, stopped loving, stopped believing that anything could ever change. But when tears come during prayer, that's different. That's often a sign your heart is still alive, still reachable, still being touched by God. Think about it. People can smile all day long, post happy pictures, joke with friends, pretend everything is fine. But the second they get alone with God, everything hidden rises to the surface. Why? Because prayer destroys the mask. In prayer, there's no performance, no pretending to be strong, no fake version of yourself, just honesty. And sometimes those tears are God breaking down walls you spent years building around your pain. Maybe He's not disappointed in you. Maybe He's healing wounds nobody else ever noticed. Pause. But here's the deeper part. What if those tears aren't just healing your past? What if they're preparing you for something greater ahead? Every major transformation starts with discomfort. Before a storm brings rain, the sky grows dark. Before healing begins, hidden pain rises to the surface. And before God changes your life, pressure often increases. That's why tears during prayer can be so powerful. Sometimes your spirit senses a new season before your mind understands it. Have you noticed how people become more emotional right before life changes completely? They pray deeper, feel everything more intensely, and suddenly, tears come easier than ever. Why? Because spiritually, something is shifting behind the scenes. Maybe God is separating you from toxic habits, unhealthy relationships, or old pain that can't follow you into your next chapter. Think about a seed buried underground. From the outside, it looks invisible, silent, forgotten. But underneath the soil, transformation is happening. That's how spiritual growth works too. Invisible first, visible later. So if you've been crying during prayer lately, don't assume you're breaking down. You may actually be breaking through. And if you've ever experienced that before, comment yes below, because more people relate to this than you realize. Now this part surprises a lot of people because there's a massive difference between conviction and condemnation. Condemnation fills you with shame. It whispers, "You're too broken. God gave up on you. You'll never change." But conviction sounds completely different. It says, "My child, come closer. Let me heal what's hurting you. Don't run from me. That's why some people suddenly cry during prayer, not because God hates them, but because He's touching the exact place they've hidden for years. Maybe it's buried guilt, maybe anger, maybe pride, maybe pain nobody knows about. And in God's presence, the walls begin to crack. Listen carefully. A completely cold heart feels nothing. But when your spirit responds emotionally during prayer, it can mean your heart still recognizes God's voice. That's not rejection. That's connection. Pause. But here's where things get even deeper. What if some of those tears aren't only about your own pain? What if God is allowing you to carry someone else in prayer too? Have you ever started praying for someone else and suddenly broke down crying? Maybe it was for your mother, your child, your best friend, or someone smiling on the outside while silently falling apart inside. That happens more than most people realize. Sometimes prayer becomes emotional because love becomes heavy. You care so deeply that your heart starts carrying pain that isn't even fully yours. And in those moments, words stop working. You try to pray, but nothing comes out. No perfect speech, no beautiful sentences, just tears. But here's the powerful part. Some of the deepest prayers are never spoken out loud because God understands emotions that language cannot explain. Think about that for a second. The Creator of the universe understands every silent tear, every shaking breath, every moment your heart feels overwhelmed. That's incredible. And maybe someone watching this right now is exhausted. You've been strong for everybody else, helping everybody else, encouraging everybody else. But secretly, you're drained. You smile in public while crying in private. Listen carefully. God sees every hidden tear people overlook. The tears you wipe away quickly, the tears nobody checks on, the tears that fall late at night during prayer, especially those tears. And maybe today, God wants you to know that you don't have to carry every burden alone anymore. Quick question. When was the last time you cried while praying? Last night? A few days ago? Or maybe moments before you clicked this video? That's not random. Sometimes God leads people to messages they desperately need to hear. And maybe this is yours. Your tears are seen. Your prayers are heard. And heaven has not forgotten you. This next part is painful, but incredibly important. Sometimes the reason you cry during prayer is because God is removing something toxic from your life. Maybe it's a relationship that keeps draining your peace, a habit secretly destroying you, a distraction pulling you away from your purpose, or even an old version of yourself that cannot follow you into the future God has prepared. And removal hurts, even when it saves you. Imagine holding broken glass in your hand. At first, you refuse to let it go because it's familiar. But the longer you hold it, the more it cuts you. That's exactly what happens spiritually. Sometimes God exposes what's poisoning your soul, even when your emotions still want to keep it. And during prayer, something inside you begins surrendering. That surrender often comes with tears, not because God wants to punish you, but because He wants to free you. And freedom rarely feels comfortable in the beginning. Sometimes the breaking you fear most is actually the beginning of your healing. Now let's go even deeper. Not every tear during prayer comes from pain. Some tears come from presence. There are moments when people begin praying and suddenly feel an overwhelming peace they can't explain. Their breathing slows down, their heart softens, and tears begin falling without warning. Why? Because for the first time in a very long time, they feel truly seen, not judged, not rejected, not abandoned, just loved. And that kind of peace can break a person emotionally in the most beautiful way. No fake image, no pretending to be strong, no pressure to hide pain, just you and the presence of God. And honestly, some of the strongest people cry the hardest when nobody is watching. because carrying silent battles for years eventually cracks something open inside. But those tears become sacred moments, moments where fear starts leaving, moments where healing quietly begins, moments where hope comes back after feeling dead for so long. And in those quiet prayers, many people suddenly realize something life-changing. God never left me. Pause. And maybe someone listening right now needed that reminder more than anything else today. You may feel forgotten by people, but you are not forgotten by God. Here's the powerful truth most people never understand. The real miracle is not the tears themselves, it's who you become after them. Do you leave prayer feeling lighter, stronger, closer to God, more at peace than before? Because sometimes those tears are evidence that God is changing something deep inside you that nobody else can see yet. And every major breakthrough begins invisibly first. So your crying may not be weakness at all. It may be proof that God is rebuilding your heart, healing your soul, and preparing your future. Quietly, patiently, powerfully. And one day, you'll look back at those nights you cried during prayer and realize God was working the entire time. So remember this. If you cry during prayer, it does not mean you're weak or broken. Maybe God is healing pain nobody else can see. Maybe He's preparing you for a new chapter in life. Maybe He's drawing you closer than ever before. Or maybe your heart finally feels safe enough to be completely honest. And that matters more than you realize. Because not every prayer is spoken with perfect words. Some prayers are whispered through silence, trembling voices, and tears. But every single one is heard by God. Always. Even on the nights when you feel alone, heaven is still listening. If this message touched your heart today, take a moment and comment. God hears my tears. You never know who might read your comment and realize they're not alone. And if someone in your life is silently hurting right now, send them this video. Sometimes one message can change a person's entire day. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next video may be exactly the encouragement you need at the perfect moment. And always remember this. The seasons that feel like breaking you apart are often the same seasons God uses to rebuild you into someone stronger, wiser, and closer to Him than ever before.